How's it going, everyone? I am Jeremy Alexander, and welcome to our very first Let's Play to Learn tutorial video. So the other day we played Enter the Gungeon, our very first Let's Play to Learn video. It was a bullet hell roguelike top-down shooter that was really fun, and we actually learned a lot of stuff from it. I know I learned a lot of cool gameplay elements from it that I liked. There were things in it that I didn't like as much, but from what I gathered, I kind of compiled a list mid-video, and one of the things that I really wanted to show you today was how to do a water effect. Now, this is going to be based on your artwork, but at the same time, this effect can be applied to a solid texture. So I'm going to show you that first. Then what we're going to do is we're going to add kind of like a light shimmer effect, something that like light is peeking in, which is something else that we saw in Enter the Gungeon. So this is kind of something that can be applied to a water effect, but also to a tile effect. If there's a window there and you want a light to peek in a little bit, this is going to work for that as well. So what we're going to do, and before we actually get to our tile backgrounds that I've already imported, we're going to make a new tile background, and we're going to make this, it doesn't really matter what size this is. Let's make this guy 32 by 32. And let's just color it in, I have a blue color right there, let's color it in blue. And what I want to do here is I want to make this like so. Okay, now technically if I put this into a family, then I can actually apply the same effect to all of these, which would make my life a little bit easier, but I think if I actually do this one by one, we can just kind of do this over and over again. So this is a tiled background. We can leave the hotspot at the top left, which is the same thing as the origin point. But we need to add one effect to it. So let's go to our effects. Let's add the warp behavior to this. And as soon as you add the warp behavior to it, you can already start to see it's going to look like some waves. So let's actually put these settings down a little bit. Let's turn off the X frequency. Let's put the Y frequency to 15. Let's put the X amplitude to 0. Let's put the Y amplitude, we can leave that at 5. Let's put this down to 0, and let's put the Y speed to 4. This was my default settings for when I was messing around with this. I think you can mess around this. We're going to kind of switch it up for the other ones. Just a little bit, but I like this speed as the default wave effect, whether it's for a top-down game or if it's for a platformer game. This is going to work both ways. So just like this, let me make sure that my preview browser is for NWJS. If I put this right over where our window size is and I hit play, we should be able to see a wave effect. It's a little pixelated because we're zoomed in, but there you go. You have a very basic wave effect. Now, here's the big difference that I was trying to point out in one of the live streams. The art matters. The gameplay matters as well, but the art does, and it actually has a really big impact on it. So if I were to take this effect and apply it to this background, this tile background, which is a little bit smaller, but I think it should be, let's see how big this is. This is 48 by 48. So I'm going to make this 48 by 48. Or, well, yeah, let me make it 48 by 48 for now, and then I'm going to make the width bigger. And we can put this like this. So let's again add the effect. Let's add the warp behavior to it. And let's mess around with this again. So let's put this down to 0. Let's put this to 15. Let's put this to 0. Let's put this, leave that at 5. And let's just put the same effect on this first. So if I hit play on this effect, you can kind of see already a huge difference. And it actually looks a little bit more like water. Now, this is going to be up to you how you want this to look, how fast you want this to go. If we want this to be a little bit slower, all we have to do is put the Y speed down from 4 to like 2. If I were to put that any higher, it'd be really fast. I found 4 to be pretty good, although 2 is actually pretty nice too. That's actually pretty slow. So you kind of get the illusion that that's water. So there we go. We've just kind of very simply added in 2 ways of making water, and just with a little bit of a texture here. Now this texture, I made this texture and I made sure that it tiled correctly, so it actually looped when we actually went on the width, and this will happen. If you zoom in, it'll kind of do the effect for you, which is kind of cool. I think there's a way to turn it off, but it doesn't bother me. But now when you actually stretch this out, you can see that it's looping. It's not the best loop in the world, but it works. So I actually had Trace make 2 different effects for this as well. So let me get these out here. We have a lava effect and we have his water effect, which both just look so much better than mine, and yet still they are pretty cool. So they're both 48 by 48. So let me set their sizes. We can at least set the height to 48. And then let's do the same exact thing. We're going to add the same behavior to this. And again, if I did put these in a family, this would already add the behavior to it, so it'd be a little bit easier. It's kind of just like inheriting, but more fun to do it this way, I guess. Let's add the warp behavior to both of these. And then we're going to get into doing our, I guess we can call it like a highlight. Might as well. So again, I mean, I have these default settings, but you can mess around with these. The thing to do here is to make sure that the X positions are pretty low and the Y positions are high, since you're trying to create a wave, not something that moves horizontally. So by turning off the X positions, we're actually in a good shape there. Let's put that one at 2, and then we'll put this one. Oh, I think I put this at 10. Let's put this one at 15. Let's put this down. Let's put this at 5, 0, and then let's put this one. Let's put this one at let's put it at 4. That way it's kind of the same. Okay, cool. So let's hit play on these, and now we can see how these look. And now, because these are more textured from an actual artist, I think they all look great. You know, it's going to depend on your style, but as soon as you actually change from a solid color to something that has more texture to it, this wave effect is fine. It's very basic, but it gets the job done. Now, when we layer this on with lighting like it does in Enter the Gungeon, it just makes it a lot better. So let's start to do that. What we're going to do is we're going to make a new sprite, and we're going to make this sprite, let's see how big I want to make this. We're going to make this wider than it is tall. Or no, the opposite. Let's do this, not 48. Let's make this 32 by 16. Cool. And what I want to do here is I want to make sure that this color is white. So the alpha here needs to be at 255. But actually, we're going to put the alpha down. Let's put the alpha down to like 50. And then click. So it's going to give this off-white, this transparency white, because we put the alpha all the way down. And now make sure you don't lose sight of this, because this is the important part. So if I were to zoom in here, you can already see how this affects this by adding in this kind of effect, just by overlaying it. But what I want to do is I actually want to even lower the opacity again to 50, so it's even lighter. Then what I can do is I can angle this. Now this doesn't matter. This doesn't have to be perfect. You can kind of angle it however you want. However you want your light effect to look, and then you can kind of put this off screen. Now, assuming that this is an effect that you are going to kind of hide, doesn't really matter where it goes off screen if this has to be like this. I think this is a good way to do it, because then you're just you have more control over this. What we're going to do is we're going to add 2 sine waves to this. Let's add the first sine wave. Let's add the second sine wave. And what this effect really is going to do is it's going to control its own horizontal movement, and it's going to control its opacity. So here's what we're going to do. Let's put the horizontal movement, which is the default movement, and we can actually leave the magnitude to something like 3 or 4, so it's kind of not moving that much. And we could put a randomness on it, but I think we're going to do that for the opacity instead. So let's put the second sine wave to an opacity behavior, and let's put the period up to like 8. So that way it kind of really takes a while to fade out. And you can put randomness, or you can put offsets on there if you want to. Let's put the magnitude down to like 10. And then let's put the magnitude random up to like 15, just so it kind of randomizes the value. So now we've kind of added in some behaviors to this. So let's hit play, and let's see this work. And if you can see that in the top corner there, it's going to kind of create this pseudo light effect. Now, because it takes a while to fade out from the opacity, it should fade out soon, or at least I think it will. If it doesn't fade out, then we can lower that number. Let's try lowering that. Let's lower the period down back to 4. And let's put the magnitude up to, let's put this up to 25. And yeah, okay. Mess around with this and see what looks good. See what works for your game. There you go. You can see it's kind of starting to fade out a little bit more. Mess around with the opacity, mess around with the actual moving of this so it kind of coincides with this. Now what we can do is we can, obviously, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to stretch this over all of these, just like this, so you can kind of get the effect for everything. I'm going to control click this down, and now we're going to get these really nice, subtle highlights to this wave. If you can just kind of imagine these waves, especially this wave and this wave, without this effect, or without these effects being there, you can kind of just see, without these two being there, you can see how this would look if these did not exist. What I'm trying to say is this. Let's get rid of this guy. Let's get rid of this guy. And let's just look at one of them. You can kind of see how this would look. And I think that this brings a really neat effect to it. Now, obviously, you'd want to actually change these parameters for every single one. But for the most part, this wave effect should work really well, especially if I put it to the bottom of the screen here. If I can grab all of these. Oh my god, let's just control click these and bring them down. and then hit play, we can see how this kind of works. And now if you had your own pixel art tiles over here and over here, I think this would look great. Especially if you added in even more lighting effects on top of this like they do in Enter the Gungeon. So that's how we can easily add in ways to do this. The artwork for this will be available soon. You can actually use all these 3 waves if you would like in your own game. And yeah, if you guys have any other comments from Enter the Gungeon, anything else that you want to see made, I know that there are some that I want to work on. When I get the time to do it, I will do so. I'm kind of looking for the things that I can do quickly so I can just kind of get these videos out for you guys. But things that take a little longer, even if we are doing other video games, I'm still all for doing them. So things like the table flipping and stuff like that, those might take me a little bit longer to make, but we can still do them even if we're doing other games, which I would also like to ask you if there's any games you want me to play specifically. I'm going to keep playing games, and I'm just going to kind of record them and see how it goes. But if there's anything you want me to do, then please leave a comment in this video, and I will make sure to do it. If there's anything from Enter the Gungeon that you want to see that I didn't do, then leave that below. I have a lot of good feedback from everybody, so I know what videos to make. I have a long list of videos to do, and I have a bunch of other projects coming out as well. So be sure to look out for that, and I'll be back with another video tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please leave a thumbs up, and I'll see you next time.